Test over trends. We're in the age of fitness trends, from keto to carnivore diet to intermittent fasting to walking 10K steps a day. And this can be really overwhelming, especially when experts can't even agree on what's the best path forward. So instead of analysis by paralysis or becoming overwhelmed or being a perfectionist and trying to do it all, instead we should test and experiment in our own lives. Pick one thing to try out for 10 to 12 weeks and see how your body responds to it. This is so important because it puts the ownership and control back into you and your body versus allowing social media to tell us what to do. I lost over 75 pounds, but when I first started, I had zero discipline, no confidence, and I couldn't stay consistent to save my life. I was basically crashing out every other day. So if you're trying to lose fat, build muscle, or simply live a healthier lifestyle, this video is for you. If you're new here, hi, my name is Alaiasbertrand, and there's two things we need to caveat. Number one, I actually did this video a year ago, and you guys loved it so much that I wanted to come back and do a part two, but I've changed since that video. There's new things that I've learned about the health and fitness industry, and some of my opinions have changed. So in this video today, I'm going to give you guys all the latest and greatest and updates on where I'm currently at and how I'm thinking about health and fitness. Number two, I am so confident that if you implement at least one of the things that I say and you do it for over 90 days, your life will completely change. And you know what? If you try out one of the habits that I'm going to share in this video for 90 days consistently and you don't see results, DM me on Instagram because I'll send you $100. That's how confident I am in all the tips that I'm going to share with you today. First things first, last year I said supplements are overhyped, which I still stand 10 toes down on today, but what I wasn't trying to say is that vitamins aren't important. Vitamins are extremely beneficial, especially if you are someone who is on a diet or if you are an extremely busy person. Even if you're meal prepping and eating the same foods every single day, there's a lot of things like magnesium, vitamin D, iron, potassium that a lot of us just don't get even when we're striving to eat healthy. However, those take this pill, lose 10 pounds supplements, yeah, still bullshit, even today. The way to know if you need vitamins is to go to a doctor or someone locally to you and have them test your vitals. That is honestly the only way that you can know if you are low on anything in your body. If you don't get tested, you're not going to have the information that you need. So yes, it's going to take time and energy, but it's worth it so that you can ensure your body is fully healthy. Number two, prioritize the most important goal for this season. I feel like I've gotten eating and moving my body down to a science, but recently I've discovered meditating and I've been reading a lot of books to dive deeper in it. One of the books said you're going to move to meditating for 10 minutes a day to 60 minutes a day. And I said, okay. And so I made a list of everything like podcasters, health and fitness people, aka myself, all tell us that we need to be doing every single day. Meditate for 60 minutes, work out for 60 minutes, not including the commute time to work out, walk, stretch, eat a high protein breakfast, touch grass, get 8 hours of sleep, drink water, hit your protein goals, avoid caffeine, do something creative, go to therapy, avoid multitasking, keep your place clean, sauna, ice tub, check in on your health goals. The list goes on. Humans are incapable of focusing on more than two things at once. What makes you think we can do all of that stuff on top of working our jobs every single day, not including if some of us are moms or dads or have people in our lives that we take care of? And I started becoming overwhelmed by all of the things people are telling us to do. And I was like, I know if I'm getting overwhelmed, you're getting overwhelmed. And so what I started to do was pick up another book, and this book is called The 12-Week Year. What this book taught me is that in 12 weeks, you should have one goal. I know. Just one goal that you focus on for that 12 weeks. Everything else that you do is added on top of that. So let's say, for instance, your goal is that you want to build muscle, 3 pounds of muscle by the end of the 12 weeks. That means that is the one goal that you focus on, and all of your habits leading up to each week should focus on that goal. So that means if all of your friends are trying to hang out every weekend, you would say no, or you would find a healthy balance so that you're still ensuring you're prioritizing that one goal. This is so so important to know that right now, if I ask you, what is the one goal that you're focusing on for the next 12 weeks, you should be able to tell me so that you don't get overwhelmed. And so that means everything else that falls out of that one goal is deprioritized. It helps you stay sane, and it also helps you, okay, so now that I've gotten this one goal, I've put on my 3 pounds of muscle, now you can focus on the next thing without becoming overwhelmed. I did a deep dive to fully understand what did I do to lose over 75 pounds, because even to this day, sometimes I don't always even realize exactly what I did. But in short, it's tip number 3. To change equals being greater than your environment. To be greater than your environment has 3 components that you have to think about: how you feel, how you think, and how you act. If you are able to overcome all 3 of those things, you will begin to change. So, for example, if you're saying, I want to lose over 10 pounds, that means you have to feel differently. So if you step on the scale after 1 week of drinking enough water, going to work out 3 times a week, and ensuring that you're eating your macros and you still don't see a difference on the scale, it means internally you've decided that you're going to feel differently. You're going to be grateful even though the scale has not changed. To think differently means you are not going to have any doubt, any anxiety, any insecurity about the way that you see your body or how you move and show up in the world. It means you are going to literally, the thought process that you have is going to be different. Number 3, to feel, to think, to act. You are going to act different, which I feel like is the thing most of us focus on. And a lot of the tips that we receive are all about how to act differently. But if you are only focused on your habits and you're not thinking about how to feel, how to change your emotional state, or how to change your thought process, then you're not going to be able to act differently, because you need all 3 to be able to change. To do all 3 of those things, you're going to rewire your identity, because ultimately you're not on a fat loss journey or you're not on a muscle gain journey. You're on a trying to change who you are journey. I am a completely different person than who I was when I first started my health and fitness journey, because the way I feel, the way I think, and the way I act are all completely different, and they're all fully connected. If you have more questions on that, let me know in the comments, and I can also make a full video on it because I feel like there's so much that goes into that. Build new lanes. For so many of us, food isn't just fuel, it's how we show love, it's how we celebrate each other, it's how we care for each other if someone's hurt. Have a bad day? Let's go get some margaritas and yap about it. Pass the test? Let's go get some ice cream and celebrate. Someone just passed away? Let me bring you a bowl of lasagna and show you that I care about you. A lot of times these things aren't bad. It's just our natural responses as connected human beings. But when you grow up without access to emotional tools or therapy, sometimes food becomes a coping mechanism and one of the only that we learn to grow into. And if that starts young, it can be really hard to grow out of when you're older. So instead of always feeling like we need to change every aspect about ourselves or not celebrate our culture or our heritage, we just need to build new lanes. The best way I like to think about it is our brain is like a highway. And so we kind of have these ways of thinking, ways of celebrating in the examples that I just shared. But instead of feeling like you need to change that or completely rip up that highway, I like to think about it as let's just build a new lane around it. So if someone passed a test, instead of buying ice cream, maybe we can go for a walk around the block or watch a movie that they love. You're finding ways to still be connected, but not necessarily always turn to food as the first and only resource. Fiber is just as important as protein, and I'm being so for real about that. It's going to help your longevity, support your blood sugar, and also help you with your gut health. It is one of my major goals right now is to ensure I'm eating enough fiber every single day, and I aim for about 1 pound of fiber. This could come in through oatmeal, through salads, through green beans, but the key is all of my meals, I'm focused not just on protein, but also on fibers. So for example, in the morning, this could be an oatmeal bowl where I put some raspberries, some blueberries or bananas, and I add in some chia seeds, which is going to get my gut health going. For lunch, one of my favorites is a lentil salad where I use chickpeas, olive oil, lemon, tomatoes, cucumber, and tuna. It's so filling and delicious. For dinner, this could be some baked salmon with honestly vegetable of your choice, Brussels sprouts, green beans, broccoli, and typically a side of rice. Genes don't control your fate, epigenetics do. And this should get all of us us hype, because how many of us heard growing up, wait until you get my age, your knees are going to be buckling too, or wait until you have these babies, you're going to look just like me. And I feel like so many of our family and friends unconsciously deemed how we were going to be when we grow up, when recent science is showing us that your genes play less of a factor than your lifestyle choices, which is so invigorating. And it should get you hyped, because it's basically saying your genes don't control your fate. And many chronic diseases like heart disease, cancers, or diabetes can all be prevented, if not reversed, with proper nutrition. This means the power is in your hands, not your family's. And this should be invigorating to tell you that the lifestyle choices you make each and every single day will tell you what your fate is. Was invited to speak at a seminar, and this was widely received by the crowd, so I wanted to share with you how to build your plate. This is for anybody who hates tracking calories or macros. This one's for you, because this is going to show you how to build your plate without ever tracking. 50% of your plate should be high fibrous vegetables. Broccoli, green beans, salad, you name it. 1/4 is going to be a lean protein of choice. Chicken, tofu, beans, ground turkey. And then 1/4 of your plate is going to be a carbohydrate, whether that's white rice, quinoa, etc. To me, this is the easiest way to build your plate each and every single time, so that you're getting all of your macros and micronutrients without ever overdoing it. And then if you really want to go over the top, if you add a spoonful of a healthy fat, whether that's peanut butter in the morning or cooking your chicken in olive oil, that's going to ensure that you stay full for longer. The 40% rule. This basically states that most people give up right when they're on the edge of success. Your muscle spasms, you hit a wall, you don't see the scale move, you go, that's it, I'm done. Right when you say that, you should know that you're typically only 40% of the way there, and you still have 60% left in the tank. David Goggins coined this term, realizing that a lot of times we give up way too soon. He teaches that your body gives up way before your mind ever does. And I use this as a toolkit when I'm in the gym, when I have one more rep, one more sprint, and my body is telling me with everything inside of me to stop, to give up, to don't move forward anymore. And I remind myself that I'm only 40% of the way there. You would be surprised what happens when you teach your brain to keep going, even when you feel like giving up or quitting. That is how true confidence is built. Think in decades, act in today. Most people, when they think about their health and fitness journey, they're thinking about the next 6 weeks, the next 30 days, the next weekend, so that you can look good for your Miami trip. But the problem is we're thinking way too short term. Most people who are extremely successful think in decades, whether you're looking at athletes or entrepreneurs. And we have to take the same approach when it comes to our health and fitness journeys.
If I had never dropped out, I would have never dropped in on that calligraphy class, and personal computers might not have the wonderful typography that they do. Of course, it was impossible to connect the dots looking forward when I was in college, but it was very, very clear looking backwards 10 years later. Again, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future.
So instead of thinking, what can I do today that's going to help me get skinny by tomorrow? You need to think, what are the healthy actions and habits that I can implement today, but also do for the rest of my life? That's when you're going to be looking more at a long-term approach and sustainable healthy habits that you're going to be able to do forever. Track your biological age, not your chronological one. Oftentimes we're taught to measure our health by the number on a scale or how many candles we're blowing out in our birthday cakes. But oftentimes your actual age doesn't always match what's happening in your body. You could be 35 on paper, but your lifestyle, sleep, and stress and diet may have you aged another decade. That's because your biological age, aka how old your cells act, is really what determines how you feel each and every single day. And the wild part is that we can influence it by our lifestyle factors. What you eat, how you move, how you manage stress, it all adds up to either speed up or slow down based on your age. So instead of counting birthday cakes, start paying attention to the choices that affect your cellular health. Every night of good sleep, every workout, every anti-inflammatory meal, it's not just being healthy, you're literally making yourself younger on the inside out. This one, I'm just going to give you guys an overall nutrition dump. I took notes on some things that have really helped me the past year that are kind of like little tips you can add to your life. The first one, 3 times a week, swap out meats for legumes. This is going to help you with more fiber and it's going to be super nutrient dense. Cruciferous vegetables, your anti-cancer vegetables. So this is your broccoli, your kale, your cauliflower. That was a lot easier to pronounce. I should have just said, eat your broccoli. Turmeric, 1/4 tablespoon plus black pepper. This is going to give you a lot of anti-inflammatories. And I love to add this to my green juice because I'm not a huge turmeric person. I typically will add it to like 1 green juice versus like my whole pack of 5 green juices because I'm not gonna lie, I'm not trying to drink it every day, but once a week usually is enough. Order of eating matters. Prioritize your fiber, then your protein, then your carbs. This is going to flatten out your glucose levels. Walk after meals, even if it's just for 10 minutes. This is going to help your body digest the food, and it's really good for your blood sugar control. Let them see you struggle. So many of us brown girls were taught to be strong and not expressive, and to not let anyone see us down and out. But the problem with that is we end up self-neglecting. And I feel like that's why there's been this rise of the soft girl era, which I absolutely love that a lot of us are finding out how we can be feminine in our bodies when so often we weren't taught how to do that because we had to be strong for the whole entire family. It's okay to ask for help. And the only way that I was able to lose over 75 pounds is because I did ask for help. I did ask to seek clarity. I did speak to doctors. I did join a community of other people who were striving for health and fitness goals. By doing all of those things allowed me to actually be successful. And I never would have gotten there if I tried to just be strong and tough it out on my own. This is something that's really complicated to do. And it's a lot easier to talk about it than it is to do it. But all I want you to remember is that softness is strong too. Sleep is not optional. You have to prioritize it just like you prioritize your workouts. Sleep affects your brain, your body, your hormones, your insulin. It affects quite literally everything. Here's a simple morning routine. Wake up, say 3 things that you're grateful for. Drink 10 ounces of water. Move your body for 10 minutes. This could be a walk, a stretch, any type of movement is great. And set an intention for the day. What do you want to accomplish? What do you want to achieve? If you do that every single day, you're golden. That's more than enough of a morning routine, and you could do it in 20 minutes or less. When it comes to the gym, so many of us become overwhelmed, but there's truly key foundational moves that you need to know. And if you are able to know these moves inside and out, you understand the form, you'll be golden. The bench press, the deadlift, squat. You got your front squat and your back squat. Pull-ups, RDLs, lunges, hip thrust. If you know how to do those moves, you're golden, you're set for life. You know what? I lied about that morning routine. I want you to add one more thing. I want you to do one thing that sucks every single morning, because this is going to delay your dopamine hit, and it's actually going to allow you to feel more motivated and energized later in the day. Because so often, what do? We get our easy dopamine hits, like checking our iPhones, scrolling on TikTok or Instagram, and while you're going to feel good for that moment, you're actually going to see a reverse crashing happen later on. So first thing in the morning, I love to get my workout in. It sucks some days, I don't want to do it, but later on, I always feel so much better knowing that I got it out the way. It doesn't always have to be a workout. You could do an ice bath. Honestly, anything that's probably healthy and it sucks to do, just do that. It's going to delay your dopamine and you'll thank me later. Respect your body, even if you don't love it yet. It's mind-blowing to me how we talk to ourselves crazy. You would never talk to your best friend the way that you talk to yourself. And something that helped me get in the habit of speaking to myself more kindly is I placed a picture of myself when I was younger in my bathroom. So the first thing I would see every single morning is little baby Alaias. And for some reason that just softened me. And whenever I would get angry or mad or feel like I didn't eat well that day or I took 10 steps backwards, I would just see that photo and it would make me go a little bit softer, and it would remind me that I'm actually doing so much better than I ever thought I was. Even if your body isn't exactly where you want it to be today, hating yourself is not going to lead you to it. You have to love yourself where you are today through and through. And this is kind of like a side tip, but it helped me a lot, which is following other girls who look like me, who talk like me, and or who are motivated by the same things as me on Instagram. I think for so long, I was following so many people who like re-pushed my own insecurities. And I was like, why am I doing this to myself? Like, I remember the other day, it's actually a creator I love, and I'm not going to call her out because I deeply love her, but she was posting all of these different products and all these things like she just got. And I was like, oh, I want those things. And immediately what I did was I shut down YouTube. I was like, no, like this isn't, she's not doing it to be bad by any means, but I can feel myself becoming jealous. I can feel myself comparing, and I don't want that for me. So I'm gonna just cut it off. Remind yourself that you are exactly where you need to be, even if you're frustrated, even if you're mad, because honestly, when you're at the point of like sick of yourself, that's when you finally change. I love you so much. I really hope this video helped you. If it did, I have the perfect video for you to watch next is this one right here. I will talk to you soon, and I love you. Bye.